1 hour of television.
On October 13th, a new American product, the Edsel, was advertised on network television for the first time. It presented a rare opportunity to measure television advertising under controlled conditions. For the preceding 6 weeks, the American public had been continually exposed to the Edsel in virtually all other advertising media, in showrooms and on the road. Now, network television, on the night of October 13th, would have just 1 hour to add its impact. The audience would be assembled by Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra. The commercials would be prepared by the same agency that had created Edsel's other advertising. The natural questions were, how much would one television broadcast on October 13th add to people's knowledge of a new product? How much to their interest in it? How much to their desire for it? To answer these questions, CBS Television commissioned Advertest Research to interview 1,100 people in 7 cities in the last 4 days before the Edsel broadcast, and then to interview the same people in the first 5 days after the broadcast. In this way, it was possible to note changes in attitudes in the simplest before and after fashion. We could see what happened to those who watched the Edsel show and what happened to those who did not. For example, one of the questions read, what makes of cars have you recently seen or heard most about? And here is what we found out. Before the Edsel broadcast, 45% of the people who later viewed the program listed Edsel as one of the cars they had recently seen and heard most about. After the broadcast, 64% named Edsel as a car they had heard most about, 19 percentage points more than before. However, in the time between interviews, the percent of non-program viewers who mentioned Edsel also increased by 4 points. So, the net gain attributable to the broadcast was 15 points. In other words, after the Edsel broadcast, 1/3 more of the program viewers reported Edsel as one of the cars they had recently heard most about. Incidentally, when we speak of Edsel program viewers, we are talking about an estimated 52 million people. According to Nielsen, 47% of the nation's television homes tuned to the broadcast. These are the people who experienced the advertising impact we are describing in this report. Altogether, the study asked 9 questions about Edsel and about several competing makes of cars. In every one, the attitude toward Edsel improved among program viewers, and improved more than it did among those who did not watch the Edsel program. The first question asked, when you think of automobiles, which makes come to mind? Among non-viewers, the number of people mentioning Edsel went up 9 percentage points after the program. But among Edsel viewers, the gain in unaided mentions was even greater. An additional 14% of the viewers mentioned Edsel in the interview after the program. When we subtract the gain among the non-viewers from the viewers' gain, we find that the program was responsible for putting Edsel into the real personal automobile world of an additional 5% of the viewers. While this was a small absolute increase, it virtually doubled the number of people who had this kind of awareness of Edsel before the program. Question 2 was designed to measure a genuine knowledge of the Edsel's features. It said, is there anything unusual or different about the Edsel as far as design, appearance, and mechanical features are concerned? Only those people were counted who could mention at least 2 specific features. Among program viewers, the percent who could name 2 or more Edsel features climbed from 40 to 60, and the net gain was 16 points. Question 3 was the example we described earlier. Question 4 was aimed at measuring the number of people who felt they had gotten information from Edsel advertising that increased their interest in the car. The question asked, have you recently seen or heard anything about the Edsel which made you more interested in it? Here again, the viewers' yes answers rose markedly from 30 to 44, and the non-viewers' score went the other way. The net gain was 21 points. In question 5, we said, Here are some pictures of cars. Can you tell me what make each one is? Here we were testing the ability of people to identify the Edsel among the photos of 5 other middle-price cars. By the time of the October 13th telecast, 3/4 of the people could already identify the Edsel. Nevertheless, after the Edsel show, the viewers who could correctly identify the Edsel rose another 14 percentage points, for a net gain of 10. Question 6 asked people to appraise Edsel's relative quality or value. Speaking generally, how do you rate the Edsel? Here respondents were asked to compare Edsel with other cars in its class and were given 6 possible answers, ranging from very much better to very much inferior. Among program viewers, the percent who said Edsel was very much better or somewhat better than its competition went up 12 points, or more than half. In the answers to this question, incidentally, there was a considerable difference between men and women. The men who said Edsel was very much better or somewhat better went up 5 points. Women approving of Edsel to this degree went up 16 points. Question 7 asked, how interested are you in learning more about the Edsel? Those indicating greatly or moderately made a net gain after the Edsel broadcast of 5 points. This gain, however, is entirely attributable to the increased interest of the men in the sample. They gained 10 points. The women were unchanged, which probably means that women, with less native interest in automobiles, had learned all they needed to know from the Edsel commercials, while men found that their natural curiosity about technical details had been further stimulated. Question 8 asked, if you were going to buy a new car in the middle price range now, which of these dealers' showrooms would you consider visiting? Here, of course, is the payoff question, designed to get some measure of real buying interest. Among Edsel show viewers, we found a net gain of 7% of the audience upon whom the show exerted this profound influence. New interest in going to an Edsel showroom was slightly greater among men than women. Question 9 asked, how many cars do you estimate Edsel will sell next year? Even though Edsel was a brand new car, those estimating sales of 200,000 or more went up 2 points, or 4%. So much for our comparisons of viewers versus non-viewers, where Edsel gained among program viewers on every question. This study of the consequences of the Crosby-Sinatra program also compared audience attitudes towards Edsel with attitudes toward other automobiles. Relative changes are important too, and it seemed possible that any significant gains for Edsel might be reflected in a loss of interest in competing makes. So let's consider again question 1, which read, when you think of automobiles, which makes come to mind? The net gain for Edsel after the broadcast was 5 percentage points. On the other hand, 2 other cars in the same price class lost ground. Car B lost 2 points. Car C, 4. Question 2 was the one that asked, is there anything unusual or different about these cars as far as mechanical features, design, and appearance are concerned? Those who mentioned 2 or more Edsel features rose an impressive 16 points. The other changes were small, with Car B down 3. Question 3, what makes of cars have you recently seen or heard most about? After the October 13th telecast, Edsel went up 15. The others changed slightly. Question 4 said, have you recently seen or heard anything about these cars which made you more interested in them? While Edsel was climbing 21 points, the other 2 were up only slightly. Question 5 said, here are some pictures of cars. Can you tell me what make each one is? Edsel was up 10, the others virtually unchanged. Before the Edsel broadcast, 75% of the people could identify the Edsel from its picture. Afterwards, 85% could. Afterwards, more people could recognize the Edsel than any one of 5 competing makes in the middle price field. Question 6 asked respondents to compare the Edsel with other cars in its own class. They were also asked to do the same for cars B and C. Edsel gained 12 points among those who classed it as very much better or somewhat better than its competition. As might be expected, when Edsel's quality image improved, the others tended to fall. Question 7 asked, how interested are you in learning more about the Edsel, or of course car B or C? Among those answering greatly or moderately, Edsel gained 5 points, largely at the expense of car C, which went down 4 points. Question 8. If you were going to buy a new car in the middle price range now, which of these dealers' showrooms would you consider visiting? After the special Edsel program, you'll recall, Edsel went up 7 points. In the same period of time, the interest in going to the dealer's showrooms of car B went down 4 points, while interest in the showrooms of car C went up only 1. A special tabulation shows that among people planning to buy a new car in 1958, even more would go to the Edsel showroom. Among these prime prospects, after the Edsel broadcast, 14% more were interested in going to an Edsel showroom. Question 9. How many cars do you estimate Edsel, or the other makes, will sell next year? Those replying that Edsel would sell 200,000 or more rose 2 points after the Edsel broadcast, while those expecting cars B and C to sell 200,000 fell 6 and 5 points respectively. Here finally in one chart are the net changes in attitude toward the Edsel for each of the separate questions. After the Edsel broadcast of October 13th, answers favorable to Edsel climbed on the average from 35 to 45, a gain of 29%. Here too are summary charts for cars B and C. Each went down slightly. Not only did Edsel move up and the others fall, but in addition, as the afterbars show, Edsel ended up at a higher level than either of the other two makes, both of which are long-established cars in the middle price field. All, in 1 hour, one network telecast did add to people's knowledge of a new product. It increased their interest in it, and it enhanced their desire for it. This was a clear-cut before and after test among the same people, and their attitudes toward the new Edsel improved to a significant degree. It happened one night on the CBS television network.